This is what has been dubbed as a Super Tuesday in American politics. Polls have opened in the United States and millions of Americans are all set to vote on a day that, of course, is being called the Super Tuesday. It is being described as one of the most crucial days in American presidential primary cycle, when over a dozen states will hold party nominating contests. But if Joe Biden and Donald Trump haven't had much of competition so far, the question is, why should they actually care about this Super Tuesday? Our next poll gets you more details.
One of the busiest days in America's election calendar is here. Super Tuesday is the Super Bowl of politics.
With your help, we will win big on Super Tuesday.
And this is what it means in numbers. Ballots will open in 15 states and 1 territory. The fate of 1,439 Democratic and 874 Republican delegates will be decided. However, unlike other countries, the election process is a little different in the United States. Voters don't directly choose the president. They vote for delegates who then go on to choose the president. Super Tuesdays take place every election year on the first Tuesday of March. The debate over the origin of the name is still ongoing. Some say it started in 1976, others quote 1988. The thinking behind the system is to have the bulk of votes early in the election cycle to better influence the party's pick. This year, Joe Biden and Donald Trump haven't had to sweat much, but Super Tuesday will still be crucial. Overall, Biden has secured 206 delegates so far. He needs a total of 1,968 out of the 3,934 delegates to win. On the other hand, the former president is standing with 244 delegates right now. Trump needs a total of 1,215 of the 2,429 delegates. In 2016, Super Tuesday was the moment when Trump really seized control of the Republican primary. But what about Nikki Haley? Well, Super Tuesday is more crucial for Haley than anyone else in the fray. It will be the ultimate decider. Her never give up mantra won't work after this point. Haley will be left out in case she fails to thrust her way back into the race. A strong showing could give any presidential campaign a much needed shot in the arm. Super Tuesday won't be the end game. Primaries and caucuses will continue till June. Meanwhile, the results will begin to trickle in once polls close. Typically, that is around 7 p.m. local time or later. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of why Super Tuesday is so important in this presidential cycle, we're being joined by Voice of America's correspondent Chris Cascale, who is joining us live from in front of a polling station in Northern Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C. Chris, the time where you are is about 6:35 early in the morning. And this, of course, is the Super Tuesday, perhaps the most important day so far in the lead up to the presidential elections. Tell us, what is the significance of Super Tuesday?
Well, Super Tuesday is so significant because 1/3 of the delegates needed to capture the respective parties' nominations are at stake here on Super Tuesday. Now, this is all part of the nominating process that was explained in very great detail in the piece before. For example, some states have what are called open primaries, in which voters can choose a Republican or a Democratic ballot regardless of their own party affiliations, and that is the case here in the state of Virginia. Others have closed primaries in which voting is limited to those who declare their party affiliation to be Democratic or Republican. Back to you, Saleh.
Right, and also, Chris, this is an important day for the former United Nations ambassador, Nikki Haley. She's in fact stuck on in this race, saying that she wants to keep it competitive. But a lot of people are saying that tonight is the night when the lights go out for the Nikki Haley campaign for the top job in America. What are you picking up at your end?
Well, it really depends on whether she wants to continue. If she is loses all these primaries that are at stake today here on Super Tuesday, 15 states in American Samoa, whether she wants to continue in this race and whether her backers will continue to back her so she could continue her campaign. She actually won a primary over the weekend that is in Washington, D.C., right next door to us, but there were not that very many delegates at stake, and Republicans are a very distinct minority in D.C., so only about 2,000 people voted in that primary. But here's the challenge for Haley on this Super Tuesday. States with the largest number of delegates, like California and Texas, have closed primaries, meaning only Republican voters can vote in the primaries and cast ballots in them. And Haley has been drawing much of her support in other states from Democrats and independents who have voted in open primaries. So you can see it's going to be an uphill battle for her today to even maybe win at least one of the states.
Interesting. Let's also now talk a bit about Donald Trump. The U.S. Supreme Court handed Donald Trump a legal victory, and he'll now be able to stay on in the ballot in the states that tried to rule that he was ineligible based on his role in the 6th of January Capitol riots. Tell us how significant this legal victory is for Donald Trump's political campaign.
Well, it means he'll be able to stay on the ballot in Colorado, which is voting today, also in Maine and Illinois. The justices unanimously reversed the December 19th decision by Colorado's top court to kick Trump off the ballot under a clause of the 14th Amendment, which bars those who engage in insurrection from running for office. Now, he was also barred from the ballot in Maine and Illinois, but those decisions were put on hold pending this Supreme Court decision that came down yesterday. Now, Trump's eligibility had been challenged in court by 6 voters in Colorado who portrayed him as a threat to democracy for his role in the January 6th riots, Capitol riots. But the Supreme Court is also expected to rule in another case involving Trump later this summer, or later this spring, and that's the case where Trump claims that he has complete immunity for any acts that he committed while president. So, it's not over for Donald Trump and the Supreme Court.
Absolutely. And let's also now talk about the incumbent American president, Joe Biden. He's been running virtually unopposed so far. Should we expect any surprises or any hiccups for the Democrat frontrunner?
Sure. There is an effort with uncommitted voters, a protest vote of sorts, to signal displeasure with Biden for his handling of the Israel-Gaza war. There was an effort in Michigan led by the sister of Representative Rashida Tlaib, who was the only Palestinian American in Congress, and that vote yielded 10,000 uncommitted or undeclared voters as a protest vote against Biden in the Democratic primary in Michigan last week. And now we're going to see if that effort will take hold in a state, Minnesota, where there is a large Somali American population that's primarily Muslim, and whether there will be a similar uncommitted or undeclared vote as a protest against Biden's handling of the war in Gaza. So that's something that we'll have to see how it shakes out as the voting continues today.
Absolutely, indeed. That, of course, will be very interesting. Thank you very much indeed, Chris Cascade, for joining us and getting us all those details there. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.